Hello everybody, welcome to this video training. Today we are going to study a big topic that has changed the way we do networking. There is a lot of confusion about Vlan. So with this video I'm going to take you through the basic concept and configuration of Vlan. So in order to start, we're gonna do like a real life scenario. So if over here we're gonna be working with Bob Company. Like imagine we have a company named Bob Company, and this company has a 24 port switch. So we're gonna be using Cisco Packet Tracer in order to set up this company network. So in order to do that, let's go to Cisco Packet Tracer right now. I'm going to show you. So we have over here, before we go to Packet Tracer, we have over here, we're going to be using like 6 computers. There is 6 computers on this company, like 6 PCs up here. We're going to be having 2 Vlan. So right now you don't understand the concept of Vlan. So I'm going to go step by step and show you how you can implement Vlan on this company network. So let's go to Cisco Packet Tracer right now. I'm going to show you. So I'm going to grab a switch up here, a 2950 switch. I'm going to grab quickly 6 PCs. I'm going to hook them right now up here. PC 0 is connected to fast internet 0/10. No, that's PC 0. Okay, let me pause this video right now. I'm gonna do the rest. Okay, as you see up here, I hooked the PCs to the switch. So I'm gonna go and do the IP configuration for the PCs. If you go back to the presentation up here, you see I'm using the 192.168.1.0 network, and I give an IP address for each PC up here. Each PC, like PC 0 has 192.168.1.100 and so on, you understand. So let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer. I'm gonna start with PC 0. I'm gonna do the IP configuration. I'm gonna do 192.168.1.100. I don't need a default gateway. Okay, I'm done with the IP configuration for all the PCs. All these PCs belong to one broadcast domain because we only have a single LAN on the switch. So what we need to do is to divide the switch into multiple LAN. So we're gonna have to use this concept of VLAN. So the first thing we need to do in order to divide that LAN into multiple LAN is to create a VLAN. And the creation of the VLAN is very simple. You go to the global config mode and you use the VLAN number command. So let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer and we're gonna create the VLAN. So first of all, let's go to the CLI up here. I'm gonna do enable conf t. I'm gonna change the host name. I'm gonna call this switch. I'm gonna do host name. I'm gonna call it 1. I'm gonna call it Office 1. Okay, that's gonna be the name of this switch. So I'm gonna do to create the VLAN, like I told you in this presentation up here. You go to the global config mode and you use the VLAN command up here, followed by the number of the VLAN you want to create. So let's go to Packet Tracer. I'm going to do VLAN. I'm going to do VLAN, and let's use the question mark. We're going to see. You see, in this switch, we can create up to like 1005 VLAN. So I'm going to do the first VLAN I need to create is VLAN 10. Okay, once you do that, VLAN 10 is created. So that's all. That's the single command you need in order to create the VLAN. But you have some optional command, like this optional command is to name the VLAN, and I think this is a very important command. Like it's gonna help you, like if you have a lot of VLAN on your network, to know which to be able to identify each VLAN. So we're gonna use this name command. Let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer. We are now in the VLAN configuration mode. We're gonna do name. I'm gonna call it. This is gonna be the management VLAN. Management. I'm gonna call it management, and that's it. So the VLAN is created. So I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna pause the video. I'm gonna create VLAN 20. That's very simple. So I'm gonna have to follow the same step. So now the VLAN are created. I create VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. But one note I would like to make about this is there is a VLAN called VLAN 1. It is a VLAN by default on the switch. So what I need to say about that is the VLAN 1 is the VLAN by default on the switch. So you need to keep that in mind. And all these ports belong to VLAN 1. And in order to prove that, let's go to verify our configuration on this switch up here. I'm gonna go to the privilege mode. And in order to verify your VLAN configuration, you can use this command. It's very important. Show. It is called show VLAN. Show VLAN. You see in this show VLAN command up here, I have some useful information. Like you see up here, I told you VLAN 1 is the VLAN by default on the switch, and all the ports belongs to VLAN 1. You have to keep that in mind. And these are the two VLAN that I just created, the VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. And those 4 VLAN you see up here, they are on the switch by default too. So in order to summarize, you see we have up here like 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 VLAN. But keep in mind that we only just create 2 VLAN. Those 5 VLAN are on the switch by default. So you have to keep that in mind. So this show VLAN command is very important in order to verify your VLAN configuration. Let's go back to the presentation. So we create the VLAN, we name those VLAN, and we verify the VLAN configuration, and everything is fine. So what you need to keep in mind is we create the VLAN, but nothing didn't change. Nothing changed on this network, because all these PCs. So now what we need to do in order to divide this LAN into like multiple LAN or VLANs, we need to assign. Let's go back to the present. We need to assign ports to the VLAN, and like you see up here in this presentation, this is what you need in order to this is the configuration you need in order to assign port to the VLAN. First of all, you go to the interface configuration mode, and from there you do the switch port mode access. This is gonna tell the switch that this port is gonna be accessing only one VLAN, and the next step is to do the switch port access VLAN. Let's go right now to Cisco Packet Tracer, and I'm gonna show you how you can do the configuration. But before that, we have to go back to the table and see what the assignment is going to be, because we have to put PC0 and PC2 and PC4 to VLAN 20. So that's what we need to do first. So I'm going to go, and the ports we have is FA0/10, FA0/2, and FA0/4. So let's go right now to Cisco Packet Tracer. Let's go to the switch, and I'm going to go to the global config mode, and I'm going to go to interface. I'm going to do interface. I'm going to show you one interface configuration, so the rest you're going to be able to do that. Interface FA0/1, and I'm gonna do switch port. That's the command you need. Switch port mode access. This is telling the switch that this is gonna be only accessing one VLAN, and the next step is to do switch port access, and this is telling the switch that this port is accessing a specific VLAN, you know, and this VLAN is going to be VLAN 20, and that's it. That's all you need for the interface configuration. So I'm going to pause video and I'm going to do the rest of the configuration. And as you see up here, I'm done with the interface configuration for the VLAN. I mean, assigning the interface to the correct VLAN. So so now the VLAN is working. You see up. So keep in mind that the red color is for VLAN 10, the management VLAN, and the blue color is for VLAN 20, which is the sales VLAN. So just keep that in mind. So in order to verify the configuration for the interface configuration is to the switch up here, I'm gonna do this command up here. It is show VLAN again. Keep in mind that that command is very important. Show VLAN, and you see up here right now I have VLAN 10, the management VLAN, and all this port you see FA0/1, FA0/3, FA0/5, they belong to VLAN 10. And VLAN 20, the sales VLAN, you see those interfaces FA0/2, FA0/4. You see, we made a mistake because FA0/10, FA0/10, we didn't assign that, and that is the one that connects PC0 to the switch. So we have to go, and that's why I told you the show command is very important. So let's go back to the switch up here, and I'm gonna go to the config T, and I'm gonna do interface FA0/10, and I'm gonna do switch port mode access, and switch port access, I think is VLAN, the sales VLAN is VLAN 20. So VLAN 20, and that's it. And so let's go back and do show VLAN. So as you see up here, now I have FA0/2, FA0/4, and FA0/10. Those they belong to VLAN to VLAN 20, which is the sales VLAN. Let's go back to the presentation. I think that's what I have up here: FA0/10, FA0/2, and FA0/4. So let's so now we are done with that. So everything is fine. So now, in order to one note I would like to make is, if a broadcast is sent from the red VLAN, so the management VLAN, is going to go only to the red PC. If a broadcast is sent from a blue PC, it's going to go only to the blue VLAN, to the PC that belong to the blue VLAN. And in order to prove that, let me go to simulation mode, and I'm gonna try to send a broadcast pin from PC0, and it's gonna go, that broadcast, it should go only to those two PCs, PC4 and PC2. So in order to prove that, let me go to PC0. I'm gonna try to send. I'm gonna do ping 192.168.1.255. That's the broadcast ping. Broadcast ping. So let's forward this packet. You see, this packet is going to go only to those PCs, because I told you now we have two broadcast domain. I mean, what I mean about that is each VLAN represents a broadcast domain. So I hope you guys understand. So same thing, if I send a broadcast from the red PC, it's going to go only to those PC that belong to the red VLAN, I mean the management VLAN. So I hope you guys understand that. So, and you see, I'm using, in this presentation, I'm using a single subnet, which is the 192.168.1.100. Because a lot of people say a VLAN is equal to a subnet. I think that's not true. But Cisco advise you to merge a VLAN to a subnet, because it's going to be a lot of confusion. Because if you have a subnet where you can have multiple VLAN, it's going to be a lot of confusion on your network. So Cisco recommend you to have to merge a VLAN to a single subnet. So that's why the definition of Cisco is a VLAN is equal to a subnet. It is equal to a broadcast domain. But the definition that is generally true is a VLAN is a broadcast domain. So I hope you guys understand that. So now we have now verify the configuration that everything is fine. So let's imagine that we only have one office for Bob company, but now the company is growing. Okay, as you see up here, Bob company has grown, and we add another office in the Bob company, and that office has a switch. So that's what we just add on the network up here, and those two switches are interconnected, so are connected together. So because we have VLAN 10 on VLAN 10 and 20 on both switches. So VLAN 10 is the management VLAN and VLAN 20 is the sales VLAN. Let's try to send a ping from PC1 to PC6. Let me go back to simulation mode. I'm gonna open PC1. I'm gonna try to send a ping up here. I'm gonna do ping 92.1.106. That's the IP address for PC6. And now the ping is ready to go. You know, let's see. You see the ping is not going. Something happened. You know, we are not able to send the ping. So the reason why is we need to set up this link up here. This link has to be what we call a trunk. So and a trunk, that's just like what I put up here in this presentation, is a link that can pass multiple VLAN traffic. You know, in order to do the trunk port, that's what I call a trunk port configuration, because the configuration are done on the interface configuration mode. So, and you need to understand this mode. It is very critical in order to understand the trunk port configuration on a Cisco switch. First mode I will start is the switch port mode. If you say switch port mode trunk, if you put switch port mode trunk on both sides of the two switches, that means that what we call a protocol that is called DTP. It stands for Dynamic Trunking Protocol. That means that protocol is activated. So that means DTP packet are sent from both sides, and the trunk is formed. So if you use the switch port mode dynamic desirable, that means also a trunk link will be formed, because DTP packet are sent, and what I call those DTP packet are DTP packet negotiation packet. Those packets are sent in order to negotiate the trunk. If you do switch port mode dynamic desirable to switch port dynamic auto, that means a trunk will be formed too. So because one side will negotiate with the other side, but the only problem you will have is dynamic auto to dynamic auto. You will not gonna have a trunk, because there will no you will not gonna have a negotiation DTP negotiation packet will not be sent. I mean, DTP packet will be sent, but there will be no negotiation for a trunk link. If you do dynamic auto to dynamic auto, you have to understand this concept in order to do configuration, trunk port configuration on the switch, or to understand trunk port configuration. So what I in order to show you all these things, let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer. I'm gonna start with this switch up here on the left side, and those two switches are connected to FA0/24 on both sides. So I'm gonna go to Bob Office 1. So let me, this one I'm gonna call it Bob Office 2. I'm gonna change the host name. I'm gonna do go to switch, the first switch, Bob Office 1. I'm gonna do enable. I'm gonna go to conf t, and I'm gonna go to the interface. I'm gonna do interface FA 0/24, and I'm gonna do the command you need to do is let's go back up here. The command you need to do is switch port. You can do switch port. What I advise to do is switch port mod trunk. That command is the one I choose most of the time, and you see that the interface will go up, will go down, and and will try to negotiate the trunk. So I'm gonna go back to the switch up here, to switch on the right side, the switch on the right side. I'm gonna do interface FA 0/24, and I'm gonna do switch port mod trunk 2, you know. So both sides up here are sending DTP packet, and in order to prove you that, so I'm gonna go to simulation mode right now. I'm gonna edit the filter up here. I'm gonna choose the DTP up here, and I'm gonna try to see what we're gonna have for the DTP packet. You see, DTP packet are sent from both sides, you know. As you see up here, this is a DTP packet. For you guys that don't know the DTP packet, but I told you have to understand this DTP, the DTP protocol is a protocol that only works on Cisco devices, on Cisco switches. You have to keep that in mind. Okay. So now we are done with the configuration. In order to the configuration for the trunk port, in order to verify our configuration, let's go back to the switch up here, and I'm gonna go to I'm gonna do a show VLAN again. That command, don't forget that, it is very important. Show VLAN, and let me see up here. Okay, as you see, the interface FA0/24, that's our trunk port. So let's see, you see up here the FA0/24 disappear, because the reason why it disappear, it means that this interface now belong, that port belong to all VLANs. That's what the trunk port means. The trunk port by default belong to all the VLAN on the switch. So you have to keep that in mind. So I hope you guys understand this concept. And now I configure the trunk on both sides, so these two PCs, PC1 and PC6, now should be able to communicate. So in order to prove that, let me go back to simulation mode. I'm gonna try to send a ping again from PC1. I'm gonna do a ping 192.168.106. So you see up here, as you see up here, the ping is ready to, the packet is ready to go. So I'm gonna send the packet. So you see the packet is gonna travel through the trunk link, and it's gonna get to the destination of PC. So I hope you guys learned something from this video. I would like to thank you for watching, and I see you for my next one.